Welcome back, Keepers of the Flame. Okay, so, hang on. Okay, you see everything? It's all good. Okay, so let's do Virgo. Let's see what we got for this manifestation period of the year. Let's see what the universe wants Virgo to grow. What would best serve Virgo at this time? Anything? Something? What's gonna best serve Virgo? Ooh. Success, peppermint. Yay. Trust, basil. Okay. Those are two really good herbs to plant. You can just plant those in pots. So like even if you don't have like a garden, they like shallow, about like this depth. Shallow dirt, well aerated, so maybe put like that much like rocks or sediment. You can use like pine cones or like crushed cans or water bottles or whatever. And then only like that much dirt. They don't need much at all. Just some well draining soil. Peppermint's really cool. That actually comes back every year in some climates. So just look into that and see if you can get that to come up every year. I think basil does too. In some I think that's more tropical though. But like in some climates they turn like woody bushes. They're really cool. But both are super easy to grow. Interesting. Okay. Success and trust, peppermint and basil. Libra and Scorpio. So peppermint is very obviously cooling, calming, really really good for the digestive tract too if you have like IBS or anything that kind of causes nervousness in the digestive tract. So oftentimes nervousness and anxiety is paired with like pain in the gut. So taking a look at that and making sure you're okay there. And it's also just kind of like a system calm, right? Because it's both heating and cooling at the same time. You probably know it more for like the cooling aspect of things. So winter time, usually we associate it with like Christmas time or winter because it keeps the critters away. They don't like the smell of peppermint. Everything has a reason, kids. You just don't know what it is. But I actually love like peppermint tea. Peppermint lemonade is really good, surprisingly. Um, Basil is, I talked about this a little bit the other day. Antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral. And if you get the holy basil, the Tulsi basil, those that has the highest of the medicinal properties in it. That's the best one to use for the medicinal sources. I mean, there's no harm in using them for culinary purposes by any means. Because it's like Italian basil, there's sweet basil, there's lemon basil, which I'm going to try to grow this year. There's all different kinds of. I think there's Thai basil, which is a little more spicy, and I think that one's purple. And then there's like a miniature. They almost look like little trees, and I'm trying to think of the name, and I can't remember what it's called. But they come up and they look like these little teeny tiny bushes, and the leaves are so small. They're a little bit bigger than that, but the leaves are really tiny on it, and it's super potent and really spicy. And I can't remember what it's called. But there's a huge variety of basil, so that's a fun herb to play with. And there's a key here, and then there's trust, and with an eyeball. So I think your key to success might have something to do with trust. And basil is extremely medicinal. So it might be someone who's already kind of established themselves in your environment, might be a medicinal person. It might be someone that's already shown you, like, I feel like this is like more established, because if you've ever grown a basil plant, they can be pretty temperamental if you don't give them the right conditions to grow in. Peppermint's like, get out of my way. But basil requires a little bit more TLC. Not a huge amount because it's an herb, but like if it's not happy, it'll let you know. So what else? And that comes with trust too, trusting yourself and knowing what you don't like and what you do like, and then knowing how to recognize it and act on it as a part of trust, right? So once you trust yourself, you can better trust other people. All right, let's move on to the Fairy Wisdom Oracle deck. Blue Fairy. I feel like we got that one before too. All right, let's go to Earth Magic for Virgo. Ooh, I got 2 from that one too. Forest and Lotus Flower. Okay. So I'll get what I'm getting from this. Blue, I think like this like indigo color blue, because this isn't like blue to me. This is more like indigo. I think like violets. And there's a full moon behind her. So maybe by the full moon, you'll understand what this is about. Because we just had a new moon in Aries, and I think it's full moon. Full moon in Virgo. Interesting. I think it's the full moon in Virgo. No. Maybe. I can't. So, I think it is. Interesting. So I think by the full moon, whichever sign it happens to fall in, is going to be, I don't know, I think maybe a breath of fresh air. Because peppermint too, kind of like, you breathe it in and you're like, ooh. It's also good, peppermint's also good for kind of alleviating headaches a little bit. If you just get, like sniff it a little bit. So these two are kind of speaking to me of like needing to breathe easy. Came up a lot in Cancer's read too, the breath work. Okay, so that Pluto going into Aquarius. Aquarius is the air sign, right? So maybe making sure that your environment is clean, the air is clean. Clean your ducts out. If you have, like a ventilation system. Clean those puppies. It's spring cleaning. I don't need to tell you this. You're freaking Virgo. But maybe invest in an air purifier or some plants that'll help you purify your air. So I think whatever the success that has to do with trust is probably going to start to come to unfoldment by this new moon here. So make sure you're focusing your energy on keeping your trust with yourself first, so that you can be successful and you can trust yourself to make the right decisions. But I don't know why I feel like this is going to involve another party or person or something. Because there's a whole forest here at the end. So maybe you're like merging with a whole slew of people, joining a community maybe, building a community. Interesting. Okay, let's get in. So 20 is the first. 20 and 21. Interesting. I've used this deck personally many a time, so no, this is not a new deck and they just fell out at the same time. No. Nope. Been using it for a hot minute. One of the most delightful things about a garden is the anticipation it provides. W.E. Johns. No clue who that is. Peppermint indicates rapid progress, a quick return, or an increase of positive energies. And if you are seeking an answer, it is a loud and firm yes. Make sure you are directing all your energy and attention to the task at hand. And if you are in a relationship, try to do some more activities with that person that pleases them. There is a need to listen to others and consider arguments at this moment, but do not let others completely make the decisions for you. The cultivation, mint is a perennial herb that grows well from cuttings and can be planted at any time of the year and in most climates. It prefers shade and a moist, water-retentive soil. Mint can become invasive and very easily, so it usually is better grown in containers, harvested at any time by plucking leaves as required. Uses: prosperity, good luck, justice, love, protection from illness. Deities: Circes, Demeter. Circes and Demeter are the same, or are thought to be the same. It's hard keeping this crap straight. Freyr, Hermes, Persephone, Prosperina, oh god, I'm gonna butcher that. Probably Icelandic word. Solfunge. Oh man, sorry, I am not well adversed in, the three fingers speak. SJO with 2 dots over it, FN. Venus and Mercury. Celestial body is Mercury. Astrological sign is Libra. Success spell. Try this refreshing drink to boost your chances of success and also repel illness. Place half a teaspoon of dried mint into a tea ball and swirl it around inside of a glass of sparkling water. Drink before undertaking activities you are seeking success in or when going into areas that may compromise your health. Add a slice of lemon to boost cleansing properties as well. Woohoo! All right. Turn the page. Basil. Trust. The garden suggests there might be a place where we can meet nature halfway, by Michael Pollan. Basil will indicate energies surrounding trust and the workings of relationships. Consideration and putting more into gaining harmonious ground are required. And although this does include romance, basil is referring to any relationship or connection. Education and travel are all areas that are shining with positive vibes at the moment, but be wary of being in situations or relationships that you know are not good for you. Common basil is an annual, but there are perennial varieties available. Plant annual basil from spring to early summer in tropical zones and spring to the end of summer in temperate places, and autumn to midsummer in colder climates. Although it prefers full sun, basil will grow in semi-shade and requires fertile, free-draining soil in either a garden bed or a pot. Harvest leaves as required and remove flowers as spent to extend seasons. Magical correspondences, uses is good luck, love, prosperity, reconciliation, and success. Yeah, that twice. Deities: Inine, Ardrea, Aries, Irizule, Jupiter, Krishna, Loki, Mars, Seth, and Vishnu. Celestial is Mars and astrological sign is Scorpio. The trust spell: reconcile and mend the bridges of trust by sharing this yummy pesto. Place 2 cups of fresh basil leaves, half a cup of freshly grated Romano cheese, and 1/3 cup of pine nuts, and 3 garlic cloves in a food processor and blend until minced. Slowly add half a cup of extra virgin olive oil while the processor is running, and season to taste. Decadent into 2 blue jars and share to mend relationships. Interesting. Blue jars, you got the blue fairy here. Very interesting. Okay. Blue, coincidentally, is a very healing color. We often associate it with like depression, and there's a reason for that because it's a healing color. Depression often just signifies a need to take time out and heal rather than, shaming yourself into being something that you were never meant to be. So, the key word here is love. Here's the blue fairy who offers up the message of love and peace. She demonstrates the need for quiet within our daily lives. She shows us that through calmness we realize our connection to spirit. This connection is always with us. Concentrate on this cobalt blue and feel what it does to your inner body. Imagine the blue crystal deep within your heart that resonates into all that is. Through the vibration of love, you are connected to all creation and to all hearts of all beings. Through a beautiful crystal blue grid work of light. Feel the oneness of all that is. Sense the infinite being of your soul. Can you feel your problems shrinking in size? Feel your own divinity. Allow your creativity to flow. With oneness comes true understanding of the greater mysteries of life. They all come down to one thing: infinite love. I am united in spirit with all creation. I am divine peace of the whole. I, I am infinite love, and it surrounds me. It runs through me and flows out to all that is. Infinite love enfolds me, and in it I am safe. So be it. Wear something blue today. All right, Lotus Flower. Okay. Unfoldment. The lotus flower sits upon one of its leaves, having risen to the surface as the sun, held in the hand of God, invites it upward into the light. This unique plant is rooted in the mud and muck at the bottom of a body of water, its stem reaching up to the surface where the leaves rest quietly. At night, the water or the flower closes and sinks below the surface, only to rise with the daylight and once again gradually unfolds its petals, its stem extending above the waterline 3 feet or more. What we learn from this amazing plant is how our own spiritual path unfolds and opens into the light, and then at times gently folds in on itself for a proper rest when the daylight fades. This period is just as necessary as the growth, for it allows the plant to integrate what it has gained in nourishment during the day. It also is just as important as it is rooted, as where it is rooted, and yet another miracle of nature that something so exquisitely beautiful is formed from the mud and silt at the watery bottom. Your spiritual unfoldment is occurring at all times, whether or not you are aware of it. It is inevitable as long as you put your trust in the hands of the Creator, the one who holds the light. Like the lotus, your soul is always reaching for the light to fulfill its karmic destiny. But even in that process, there are periods of darkness and times of rest. It is a natural cycle, one that cannot truly be coerced or halted. It has an innate rhythm of its own, one that is unique to the being that is you. You do not need to strive or be driven by spiritual ambition. It does no good to try to force growth upon yourself or others for that matter. Allowing is key here. Allow the place in you that naturally wants to flow to the light. Do so while recognizing that even when you have complete faith, you will face challenges and occasionally suffering. Your steady faith and love will guide you on your journey of returning to the light. And again, like it's the balance of nature. It has to be, you have to go through the darkness in order to get to the light. There can't be one without the other. If you were to cut the lotus flower in half because you don't like the root system and where it's coming from, the lotus will wilt and die. So understanding this is a whole thing and all the parts are to be honored and respected, no matter if they make you uncomfortable or if they bring you peace and prosperity. It's still part of the whole system. And once we begin to honor that, that dark place doesn't become so kind of fades. It's intimidating or whatever it is. Sort of constructs we put around those ideas. So if we understand that in the darkness is where we find the light, because then we can move towards it and up and out. Okay, so we're rooted in that darkness because it's nourishing, it feeds us. It's where we find the light, is in the darkness. If everything was all light, you wouldn't be able to see it. You wouldn't know what light was because there'd be no dark. Okay, has to be balanced, has to be what it is. And sometimes when you're in the light, you're suffering just as much as when you're in the dark. So it's all that balance coming together as a whole. As we make our way across the meadow to a thicker part of the forest, there is a subtle shift in the sensations in the body, one that might be initially barely perceivable, but soon comes undeniable. It's nearly impossible not to take deeper breaths. The richness of the forest oxygen, given freely and generously from the trees, the standing ones, to us is a natural exchange for the carbon dioxide we release every time we exhale. Further, the animals of the forest participate in this exchange as well as in what is one of the most miraculous and remarkable collaborations between plants and animals that serve to help each other live and thrive. The ratio of this oxygen-carbon dioxide exchange has been in balance for millennia, but has been changing quite dramatically in the last several years as carbon dioxide levels have been rising. Yet there are many parts of the world where we can still enjoy the refreshing and revitalizing effects of an afternoon enjoying the sights, sounds, and smells of a walk in the forest. Through prayer and action, we can express our gratitude to these tree beings for the many gifts they provide, not least of which is consuming the very air we breathe. Things are different after we walk in the forest. Your breathing is too shallow. Although it may feel natural, it is an unhealthy habit that causes shortness of breath. When you subconsciously shorten your breath, no matter of this habitual or triggered by some event or circumstance, it activates certain psychological signals that prepare your system for fight or flight. Another conditioned response to this perceived danger is to hold your breath. This is your survival response, although it does not serve you to do so. So breathe. Inhale deeply all the way down to the bottom of your diaphragm. If you put your hand below your belly button, your stomach should extend. I know, but that makes me look fat. Okay, leave the slave mentality for a hot second and take care of yourself first. Screw the slave mentality and what society expects your belly to look like, okay? And empower yourself. Fat belly and all. Love you. So breathe, inhale deeply, regardless of your concerns, worries, or problems. Then let it go. Next, allow yourself to breathe a little deeper and slower a few times. Remember that every breath you inhale is a gift, and every breath you exhale is a gift. And the forest that is clear is a clear reminder of how this works. Okay, so it said it in a little bit more complicated manner here, but if you're breathing shallow, like just in the I can. I used to do this. I used to be the one that did that too. So like 85% of people or something, well, it's probably dwindled down now that yoga and meditation are more of a thing. But if you are breathing shallow just in your chest, you have anxiety. You have anxiety if you're breathing shallow. Not the other way around. No. Your anxiety doesn't cause you to breathe shallow. Your breathing shallow causes your anxiety. Okay, so this is why that toxic construct of like having to stay skinny and be like, have a flat tummy and all that other BS needs to fuck off. It doesn't make you healthy. That's not true at all. It's just not. Being skin and bones does not constitute as healthy. I'm sorry, it doesn't. It never has and it never will. Okay, if you're working out like 5 hours a day and eating cabbage water, that's not health. It's not. Okay, so honor yourself and your body and breathe correctly. Please. It's so important because you're just going to be in a state where you can't trust your own body. If you're breathing shallow, this is not ever going to happen for you. The trust, forget it. Forget it. You don't have the capacity to trust if you're cutting off oxygen to your entire system. Your brain can't conceive of trusting because you're in fight or flight all day long. The only time you actually get rest is probably at night when you're unconsciously breathing. So breathe correctly. I don't care what you do. Get into some meditations. Go see a breath therapist. Carrie Peterson. Oh God, I hope she's freaking... I really hope that lady has got some like internships or something, because I think she's the only one on this continent, and then there's maybe one other on another continent that does the work that she does, and it's super important. It's all about breath work, and she also has a manifestation process so you can use with the breath work. So, and she started doing Zoom meetings too. Terry Peterson, look her up. TERRI Peterson, like normally how do you spell Peterson? I'll put it in the comments, or not in the comments, in the description. But yeah, she's doing Zoom meetings, and they fill up fast. So, yeah, getting to that breathing correctly, honoring that process, which makes you happy, whole, and healthy. Okay. Because oftentimes, if you're obsessed with being skinny, not healthy, you're falling into that slave mentality. Okay, that's the driving force there. That's why they put all the skinny, good-looking people on the magazine covers. It's not because that's fat people used to be attractive. Did you know that? The fatter you were, the more sexier. Why? Because it meant that you could feed yourself and everybody else around you very well. That used to be sexy. Okay? So, breathe correctly. Let's make bellies... Bringing bellies back? What are we going to do? I don't know. Anyway, we don't need to bring beer bellies back. That's not a good thing. But, like, bringing an understanding that health does not have a look. Health has a feel. Health has a radiation that you just don't get to deny, whether you're chiseled or not. I've seen some really chiseled people in my time, and I'm like, ugh, and they're desperately unhappy. So it has nothing to do with aesthetics, kids. It never has, and it never will. I don't care who you are. So, healthy equals happy, which is the new sexy. Okay, let's start that movement. Hashtag the new sexy, healthy, actual health. Okay. I think that's it. Remembering that the dark periods don't signify that there's something inherently wrong with you. They're asking you to look at something. Where's your growth pattern? How are you going to establish better trust with yourself? How are you going to feed your root system better so you can get more established and come back bigger and stronger? Okay? Start asking yourself those questions rather than shaming yourself for being in a blue mood, because it's not what they're there for. Seek to understand. Don't seek to shame yourself. Okay? Okay. I think that's it. All right, Virgo. I love you. And until next time, keep your flame.